What is up, dudes and dudettes? I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and welcome to another episode of Beanie Babble, the show where I take concepts from the comic book industry, the community, and various comic book media, and I talk about the things that I find interesting. And I don't want to say that I'm a huge Superman fan, because I'm not. I'd be lying. I'm more of a Batman fan, to be honest. But all that withstanding, recently I've been getting more and more into the character of Superman, and I gotta say, he's actually really awesome. And the more I learn about him, the more I care about not only Clark Kent as a character, but what he represents, and why he represents what he represents. So this video isn't going to be me explaining Superman, but more so explaining why I myself have taken a liking to Superman, and this being from the mouth of a person who originally wasn't a fan of his to begin with. First off, I was in the camp of people who thought that Superman was boring because, oh, he has so much power and he's such a goody two-shoes and blah blah blah, and that makes him boring. But that's kind of the point of Superman, and that's what makes him arguably one of the most interesting characters in not only DC Comics, but all of comics, is that he has the power to burn down all of civilization and rebuild it in his image. Hell, if he wanted to, he could slaughter all of his rogues gallery and then some, but he doesn't. Let's be real for a second. What kind of a threat does the Parasite pose to Superman? If he wanted to, he could just punch a hole in his face. Toyman, lobotomized, Livewire, freeze breath her body and then shatter her like glass. I mean, the list goes on and on, but the point I'm trying to make is that Superman is all-powerful, but he doesn't abuse that power, because any lesser man would. And Clark does get tempted at times, but he doesn't follow his temptations, because he knows that it isn't the right thing to do. And it's that right there. The fact that he doesn't abuse his power, the fact that he chooses to be the good guy when he very easily could be the villain, is what makes him interesting. The story of Superman is the story of a guy who chooses to be a decent man in an indecent world, and I personally find that amazing. Second, a lot of times people will say that they think that he's a flat character because he doesn't have a strong enough motivating factor. For Batman, it's his parents. For Spider-Man, it's Uncle Ben. For Iron Man, he was held captive by Hydra, or, the Ten Rings, or random terrorist, it really depends on which version you're reading. But anyways, people think that Superman has weak motivations because he doesn't have a tragic event in his life that pushes him to be Superman. And my argument is, why does he need one? Superman is a guy who does good things because he feels like with great power comes great responsibility. He didn't need to inadvertently get a family member killed in order to learn that lesson, because he felt it in his heart already. And I've got to be brutally honest here, it quite disturbs me that people can't buy that. Do we live in such a shit world where the only reason someone can buy the fact that a person wants to help others is because they have a tragic background that compels them to do good? Like, what's wrong with someone just being a good person? Has society gone so far in a downward spiral that the concept of wanting to help others with no strings attached, or just doing something out of the good of your heart, is taboo? If it is, well, shit, that's pretty fucked up. And finally, truth, justice, and the American way. Now, truth and justice, I feel, are self-explanatory, but it's that last part, the American way. Now, I've always taken an issue with that last part. Why? Well, because I'm American, and America kinda sucks. Sorry to burst the novelty bubble of anyone who wants to come to America or had a preconceived notion that this was some beautiful haven, but it really isn't. It's pretty bad. But all that withstanding, I think that I finally cracked what the American way means. Just because Superman stands for the American way doesn't necessarily mean that he's a pawn of the United States government, but much rather, he stands for the principles that America claims to have. Fairness, compassion, being blind towards anyone's ethnicity or social status, sexual orientation, religious or cultural background, etc., etc. And again, a man who represents those qualities and lives by those principles regardless of whether it's popular or not is really fucking impressive. So there you have it. That's why I love Superman, and that's why I find him so interesting. But anyways, as I always like to say, the beautiful thing about comics is that it's all subjective. So, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you like Superman? Do you find him to be boring? Let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button, share, support the channel. If you want to see more content like this, all you gotta do is subscribe. I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and as always, until next time, adios nachos, adios.